part of running a company is you actually have to have people to run it. nothing, nothing has really hit us harder than right now with with Humanize IT, and you know, we have been trying to run with the skeleton crew for long enough. We're like, enough. We need to hire,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Skip's like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about that on the podcast. And so here
Yeah.
we are. We're talking about like finding the right person for your company and how important it is to find a culture fit.
Yes.
And I've been at companies where they need a butt in a seat. We make the joke in the corporate world, like if there's an empty desk, that means we need to hire somebody.
Right.
And
Yeah. If
it's
not,
so
haul the
dumb.
desk off.
Hold on. Yeah, there's an empty seat over there. We need to hire somebody. What are they going to do? I don't know, but that needs to be filled. What did
Yeah.
the person do before? Well, that was Karen's seat, and she ran the punch cards for the old computer system.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what's the modern version of that? Let's have them do it.
Yeah. So, I enjoy the process of finding a new person. Of course, I'm gregarious. I like to meet new people and
Oh,
stuff.
I
And
don't enjoy the process.
and sometimes, like, you get in an interview and it's a train wreck. Like, this person is obviously a sociopath.
Yes. Yes.
How they got through HR pre-screening, I don't know.
Yes. How do I get out of this meeting? How do how do I get them out the door without needing to
I
press the
just like,
panic button?
can I have a sniff test, like at the first 5 minutes of a meeting? And it's like, okay, you can say veto, and no, it's kind of like a blind date. The first 5 minutes, you should be allowed to say, nope, I'm out, and no hard feelings.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Sometimes a person just isn't your kind of weird.
That's it. That's it.
And I do tell my kids about that. It's like, find your weird, and with a corporation, you got to find your weird as well. Like, some people are going to get it; they're going to be great fits, and that's that right person
Yep.
for your company. And then you got to make sure they're in the right seat. Are they good leadership potential? Are they a good salesperson? Are they a good marketer? And so if you put Adam Walter in an accounting role, like, I'm an intelligent guy, I get accounting, but
Yep.
I'm gonna suck at it. I'm gonna hate every day.
Yes. So my a lot of people that are close to me, my wife in particular, at various times over my professional career, have looked at me and goes, "Why aren't you doing sales?" And I'm like, "I am awful at sales." And they go, "No, it sounds like you'd do great." And I'm like, "No, no. At the very, very best, at the peak performance, I'm a mediocre salesman." And there are attributes that I do well because I get it. I get the value, but there's a whole lot more that goes into that. Account management and sales is a valid and valuable and detailed profession. Early on in my career, I think I kind of gave sales people some lip, and I regret that because they are some of the most valued people in an organization, and I see those elements, but I realize I can't do that. That is just not me. I am not that salesperson. And, that's one of the roles that we're looking for right now. And so I definitely see the value, but, because I don't operate in that, I sometimes I even feel like I'm a little underqualified to find the person. I've got this one thing, I feel like, what's that old Billy Crystal movie? It was
Which
with the
one?
Cowboys, the City
Oh,
Cowboy, City
City Slickers.
Slickers.
City
Yes.
Slickers.
And what was the grizzly old cowboy guy, and he talked about the one thing, right? And I kind of on that track, and I've even written in some of my notes, about whether a candidate gets it, right? And I even put it in quotation marks in my notes. What is it? And that's a unique understanding for each position that you're looking to fill. If it's a technical role, we get wrapped up in, hey, do they have this certification? Have they, done these sort of exercises? Have they migrated from this platform to that platform? Yada, yada, yada. We can roll on. But do they understand it? Do they understand the value of uptime, of efficiencies, of making sure that technology is available to do whatever it's designed to do? and that can, be challenging for MSPs when they're looking for technical resources. You can
Yeah.
have someone immensely qualified, but if they don't get it, they're going to be a horrible employee.
Yeah,
And
and that culture fit, like there's, I think it's in one of the EOS books, like Rocket Fuel or something, where they talk about like how they had a CFO who was really good at their job, but wasn't a great fit. They're constantly
yes,
combative. They constantly were like having issues with like getting other people to buy in, and the idea was is that they needed to chill.
yep.
And they would have been great in like a CPA firm or somewhere where they had that kind of same drive. But and sorry, my computer keeps chiming. I'll get rid of that later.
There we go.
But they had this bad culture fit where they would have been great
Mhm.
at another company. They would have thrived at another
Yes,
company,
yes.
and instead they were trying to like hold on to what was going on here. And because of that, they weren't moving as fast as they could as a company because they had the wrong person, a perfectly capable person that was not a culture fit. And I've been that person where
I
I
have,
am not a culture fit.
I have
Like, this
too.
is obviously a hierarchical organization, and I need an egalitarian.
Yeah, yeah.
I need to be able to have conversations with people without having to go through their managers. Like, I will hate every second of working here if you make me go through a hierarchy for every decision.
And that is an important element to think about your organizations. If you're wanting to grow your organization, you could very well have to change the culture of your organization.
Yes,
And if
and
that's
it's
if
hard.
it is. It can, and so you may hire someone who fits the culture of the organization that you want to be, but now you're going to have a cultural clash versus the organization that you are.
Yes,
So which one is right?
yeah,
If you're making money, if everything's rocking along, if you're being successful, that is a definition of the right way to do it. But if it's not going where you want to go ultimately, then the people that are being successful in your currently successful organization are now in an interesting spot and they're in the wrong seat.
yep.
Uh, so,
You can outgrow a
outgrow.
successful employee.
Yes, yes.
That happened to me once. I was working for an organization. I was hired on as a general troubleshooter. I did not have a specific skill set, and our goal was to work ourselves out of a job as a team, and then eventually we would get moved into different departments. So my for anybody who knows me, like my strength is management and organizational behavior. I'm good at IT, but I'm not great. I'm not the guy you want to run firewall rules, to do high levels of detail because I'll get bored. I'll do
Yep.
it, but I will be bored. So the idea is that I was in this role that I was really good at. I was ranked 5 across everything, and then we got ourselves out of the job, and they moved us
Yep.
over to new
Yep.
teams because I wasn't ready to give up technical role yet, because they were moving our roles into business analysts, and that I should have stayed as a business analyst, but I didn't know myself well enough at the time.
Yeah. Know
And so
yourself.
they
No.
moved me over because
First,
I
know
was really
yourself.
good at managing networks into a new networking role, which I was okay at. Whereas I was a level 5 maturity from a business analyst standpoint, I was only like a 3 maturity in
Mhm.
a network standpoint. But I was being put with a bunch of 5s, so I looked like a 2. And so,
Yeah.
it just I just floundered. I did okay at my job, but it wasn't what I enjoyed. It wasn't what I came to the company for, and you can feel that. And so, what you got to do is you got to identify that in yourself and talk to your boss. Like, have a candid conversation. Like, look,
Yep.
I moved
That-
teams, or when I started at this company, it was a startup, and we've kind of lost that startup feel.
yeah. And
And now
that
we're
communication.
now I'd like to find some way to get back to that, or if maybe move
Mhm.
on or something. But I just want to have that candid conversation that when we were in the Wild West startup days, it was great. But now I'm not feeling it. I'm not challenged. I'm just sitting
Mhm.
here filling out these reports every day, which are valuable to the company. But you could hire another 100 people to do process management for you.
Yep. And that communication is really key. So, um, again, I guess we're kind of talking a little bit more towards the owners out there, which we do often. But those candid conversations, if you are making a change to your organization and the culture, you do need to communicate with your team, or you're going to put people in the wrong seat. Or if you're looking for someone, if you've got someone internally who wants to grow up to a new position, um, you know, do they get it? Do they get the cultural? Do they get the philosophy and the concept of what you're doing? Because if they don't get it, okay, whatever the it is, you will never be able to train them to do the things that they need to do.
Yeah,
So
and
it's never going to work out.
with the difficulty of hiring right now, like this is a big problem in our industry. And us hiring engineers, like, oh, you know what, Adam, Skip, you may be thinking, I don't care. And
Right.
I just want
I
somebody to be
need
able to
people.
fix a
Yes.
Windows server right now. I
Hmm.
just need a person. I don't care if they're a sociopath. I just need somebody to handle these tickets. I will shove them out of the limelight. But that's okay because you're shifting your culture to fit that person and
Yep.
understand what you're doing. Now, what happens in 5 years when you want to get back to that, buddy buddy feel? You've got all these sociopaths sitting there that are good at their
Yes.
jobs, that are in this silo. You might just need to remember that when you hired them, you were looking for somebody to fill a seat. You were
Yep.
desperate. Or you can create a culture where you're looking for these people and you tell the person you're hiring, like, hey, this is the kind of culture we are. And we want to hire people like this, people who get what we're trying to do. We want
Hmm.
to be a boutique MSP that caters to this kind of school or this dental offices, whatever it is. And we want people who care about that industry so that when you're on site, you genuinely are answering questions and looking at things in that light so that everybody in your company is running on the same vision. You can kind of artificially create some of this by having your vision and your mission really, really prominent in all of your environments so that
You
everybody
can.
knows that when you go on site with the
Yep.
school, our job is to make the teacher successful.
Yep.
When you go to the dentist office, our job is to enhance the client experience so that when customers come into your client's office, that they feel welcome, that they got the iPads there ready to go, that the kids can play Minecraft while they're waiting and they can de-stress.
Yep.
This is You need to have this mentality, and you can do that by setting a mission or a vision statement that everybody gets. And then when you hire them, you make sure that they understand that's what you're hiring. You're looking for people who care about dental offices. You're looking for people who care about
Yeah.
schools.
So I worked with an organization a little while ago, and they were really all in on the mission statement, and I felt it was a little bit of throwback to some older kind of um, you know cultural, or this is the popular style management style of things from a few years before. So it was a little unusual, but they had all of their new hires within, you had just a short grace period, and then the next all company meeting, which they had regularly, which I think is very valuable in one form or another. And they would pull these new employees up in front of the entire team, and you had to recite from memory the company's mission statement. And it wasn't really short, but it wasn't overly long. It was, I don't know, 3 or 4 sentences. And everyone had to get up and recite the mission statement by memory. And I thought that was a little, in some aspects, a little cheesy, but there was a great value in that because clearly everybody knew it, and it began to show up in engagements because as employees were working with customers, it would come up from time to time, and employees would recite at least part of the mission statement. So it provided a very valuable tool to put that out there. And it kind of bridged the gap a little bit, because there were, I feel, at any organization, right? There were people there that really didn't buy in to the mission statement. You talk to them in the hallways after hours or whatever, and they weren't on board with it. But they knew what was expected of them. They knew what the company's mission statement was. And so in some aspects, when they went to work, they went into a mode, and they did the best they could to fulfill that mission statement. And if you can't get someone who really gets it, then get someone who can act like they get it. I guess maybe that's middle ground there, but it provided a lot of value in clearly communicating, this is how we work. This is the type of business we want to be. Because it can't be, hey, we want to do this technical thing. All right, that's not going to run a business. That gets a job done.
And when I talk about like right person in the right seat, I know there's a billion books on that, and it's a big traction thing. But when you're creating your mission statement, if you create a super generic mission statement, like we want to be the best in the world,
yeah,
that's not really specific. It doesn't really tell me what you're not. So how does it allow your mission statement allow you to say, this is who we are and this is who we are not? And so you don't want to use we won't do teddy bears. Don't put the negative in your mission statement. But, my first mission statement for Virtual C, when I founded the company, was changing the way IT is done. And doing that, it allowed us to focus on, we are a technical company that is focused on conversations with clients. Mm-hmm. And that became our focus. And over time, that's kind of crafted who we are. It's say, hey, should we buy the managed services platform? Yes. Should we hire this person? Yes. Should we hire that person? No, they're not a good fit. They're not in it for changing the way IT is done. They are in it for just money, which just sometimes is good.
Yeah.
And so finding that culture fit is directly aligned with, do you understand what your culture is? So that you can filter out people who don't get what you're trying to do. If you're just trying to find the best at what? There's a lot of people who are the best at things, but are you hiring the best in the right category? And if they understand your mission statement, if it is part of their core personality, they can walk into a client and they can represent that. And it becomes an augmentation. If only one person in your company, the CEO, knows the mission statement and embodies it, then that's only one person fulfilling it. You need to have that culture fit across the board. And then you have 10 CEOs, you have 20 CEOs in your company that are all trying to make the mission happen.
Yes.
That's important.
Yeah. Because it's going to wear you out. If you're the only one driving the mission of your organization, then it's all on you. And you're going to, you're going to get busy. You're going to, be successful because you're accomplishing your mission, but then you go to hire those additional employees because you've grown and now you don't have the capacity. But now you have extra warm bodies floating around and you're still having to do all the work. You're not able to carry the load and spread that across all these people that you're paying good money for because they either don't get it or you haven't communicated it. So if you as an engineer and an ops guy, if we're getting, in round numbers, we're getting 100 tickets a day, right? And we want to, expect every engineer to take care of 30 tickets. Well, then, we need a little over 3 engineers. And when we jump to 200 tickets, well, now we've got to, double that number. And if you aren't seeing that same sort of reduction in the load capacity of your team and delegating those things out, then it's probably because your people aren't carrying their portion of the vision. That they aren't seeing that. And, this all sounds great. I know, but you guys are desperate. I talk with a lot of our members. They're losing good employees to organizations that are making just unbelievable salary offerings.
Hmm.
I think a lot of small businesses today, globally, these, what we normally call mom and pop shops are really, really being hammered in financial aspects because they've had long term employees that are happy with where they work. They're working well. I mean, everything's firing on all cylinders. All's great. But this an employee then gets this random job offer. Some headhunter tracked them down and is offering to increase their salary by 50 or 60%. Well, I mean, and as employers, they look at that and go, "That's a great deal. How can I, in good conscience, tell that employee, oh, don't go to work there? All that money that they're going to pay you, all those benefits they're going to give you, and not see the benefit to that employee and that employee's family. I mean, a lot of these small businesses have close relationships with their families, and it's painful. And so they've got employees leaving, and now they've got to refill those positions. They're challenged on salary, and I think a lot of them right now are really looking at how they're going to run their business. Are they going to be able to run their business? And I don't know. It's getting kind of gloomy here in my conversation, this thread here. But I think you have to decide, what type of organization are you going to run? Is it going to be the one that embodies your vision, but maybe at a smaller scale because economies are what they are? Or are you going to have to pivot a little bit and change some of the things about your organization to accommodate?
Yeah, and to keep those kinds of employees, my advice to you CEOs out there that are struggling with, or you MSP managers are looking at this, yes, they're getting offered a larger salary, and you can make that up, because here's the problem with corporations: that they're rigid.
They are.
You can offer better vacation policies than any of those corporations,
Yeah.
hands down. You can offer better perks than any of those corporations. And if you're looking at engineers in their 30 or 40s to 50s, they're
Mm-hmm.
looking for perks. They're looking for lifestyle.
Yes.
They're looking for
Yes.
culture
Yes.
fit.
Yep.
They've heard the horror stories from their friends who go to the corporation for the big salary. I was one of them. I had a
Yeah.
nice big cushy salary and all the benefits with the great retirement plan and everything, and it wasn't for me. It burned me out. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was a hollow man by the time the corporations got done with me. Coming back to the small business world, you feel alive. You feel like you matter.
Yes.
And
Yep.
in the medical world, the exciting part is being in the ER, where your decisions matter.
Mm. Yep.
So you can tell your employee, like, look, you can go to the corporation and, you're just going to be a number. Or you can be here where you align with our mission and you matter. Now, I know I
Mm-hmm.
can't pay what they pay, but let's talk about maybe extending your benefits a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about maybe putting a zero vacation policy in place.
Yeah. That's a
So that
really
you can take
interesting one.
unlimited vacation time, because you've
Yep.
done well here. You know your job, you perform well, and as long as you're staying within a 4 or 5 target on your reviews, well, you could continue to take as much vacation as you want. No corporation can beat that, and because they can't have that individualized attention that you can give in a company that's under 50 employees, under 100 employees. And so the beauty of this is that when you start establishing this culture and this really clear mission, your engineers and your employees will start talking to their friends, and you'll start getting
Mm-hmm.
that poaching happening. And like, hey, these guys pay about 90% of base, but you get all these things. I went to Colorado last week, because I finished all my projects early and I coordinated so I could take a week off. I didn't have to think about vacation time. I just went because I was in a gap in my project schedule.
Yep.
I took time off for my sick kid. No one cares because I'm getting my work done. They have a great work from home policy where if you want to work from home and watch your kid or be with your dog or head out camping and work remotely, you can
Yep.
do that. Corporations are really slow at adopting these things, and they're feeling the pain too because they're not shifting as fast as the small businesses did during COVID. So being clear about what kind of person fits your organization and caring for them in that culture, so that even when they're offered a bigger salary, they don't want it.
Yep.
They're happy where they are. And I
Well,
know a lot of people like this. I know a lot of really
yep,
talented engineers who are not in it for the salary. I know a lot of engineers who are in it for the salary.
yep.
Don't
That
get me
there go
wrong,
both
it's
ways. Yep.
nice. But I know a lot of engineers who are in it for the culture fit. They
Yep.
want to be somewhere where they feel valued. And that is the number one thing, in my opinion. I know there's three, but in my opinion, the number one thing is value. You have to feel valued. And the only time that pay overrides value is when your pay is significantly lower, like 50% lower than
Yes.
industry average.
And sometimes that will. But and so let me offer this maybe a little bit of optimism here to counteract my dark tangent there. But if somebody gets it, whatever that is, and they are a competent professional, you can train them in the things.
Yep.
So you're looking for someone who has a specific skill set and gets it. That is getting increasingly harder. If you have to choose between one or the two, I would every day choose hiring someone who gets it and then supplying the skill set to get them to where they need to be to do the
Yes.
things, because you can train skills. You can't really train culture. You can't supply
You
that.
can
That has
shift
to
your
be.
own culture, but you can't force culture on somebody.
You
If
can't.
they
Yep.
reach that
Yep.
point, say goodbye, part ways, save everybody time.
That's it. That's it.
So yeah, this is a great conversation. Like, we should probably do a series on it, bring maybe some HR perspective here, and really get like,
Oh
how do
yeah.
you deal with toxic?
Oh
How do you deal with
yeah.
somebody who shifted from a good culture fit to a bad culture fit? What
Yep.
happens there? What are some of the key opportunities to how to deal with those? How to retain employees is a big thing these days. So this conversation here, all about how to retain your employee by having appropriate culture fits. You will have a longer fit but you have to be clear about who you are and where you're going. And so
Yeah.
that's the number one tip. And maybe we'll do a series in the future with some more deep dive tips on how to retain employees and how to establish a long term relationship with everyone and be able to identify who's not a good fit so you can eject them and find the right one.
That's
Thank
good.
you, Skip. This has been a great conversation. I'm
You
looking
bet.
forward to our vulnerability and pen testing conversation here coming up. So maybe in the next couple of weeks, we'll be getting that posted.
All right. Sounds great.
All right. Thank you. See y'all later.
See you.